Hi, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I'm taking a look at a mold that I entirely skipped last year. I finally got the version that I wanted to spend money on. Here we've got Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Galvatron, WFC-GS27, and this is Galvatron in the toy accurate colors, which I'm really excited for. I have a Galvatron. I'll show them next to each other in a second. I wasn't super enthused about Kingdom Galvatron when it was first announced. I was like, oh, that's neat, but I'm still pretty happy with my Titans Return Galvatron. Even this figure, I was a little hesitant on it with the size comparisons. I was a little like, okay, well, I'm paying leader price, and it doesn't look a ton bigger than my current Galvatron, and I like my current Galvatron. But I figured, oh, this can be Galvatron II, and I picked it up, and I actually really, really like this mold. So here he is in alt mode, his like mobile artillery piece, very G1. We even get like our little rub sign decal here, so you can rub this, and there we reveal our Decepticon symbol. I really like that they put that on. He looks dumb. This is Galvatron in all his dumb G1 glory. This mode doesn't do much for me. Normally I transform my figures pretty often, but I have a strong feeling that this guy will be staying in robot mode for most of the time. But he does look like Galvatron from the 1986 movie, if that's what you're really looking for. I'm going to put him next to Titans Return Galvatron right here. We can take a look at those two together. And here, if we like line them up side by side, they like, in terms of volume, they take a very similar volume. So that's one of the things where I was like, well, if this is a leader, I don't 100% see where the value is. But now that I have him in hand, this is easily twice the weight of this figure. It feels a lot more solid. The transformation is more involved. I do like the reimagining. I like this side on Galvatron here. It's got the Toy Hack stickers and everything. And it's, you know, the cartoony colors. But this Galvatron is going to stay in my collection as my Galvatron 1. And I like the robot mode, and I like the spaceship mode. I really like the spaceship mode. But this Galvatron over here, I think, will stay as Galvatron 2. This mode, it's a nice representation of just an alt mode that I don't strongly care for. He does kind of roll. He's got, you know, two casters over here and casters on these treads. You can use his arm joints to, I guess, position the artillery piece in different locations. Same thing with this back here. You can kind of get a little bit of arc out of that if you use it correctly. I don't know. So that's kind of neat. But other than that, I think this mode just looks a little silly. And then my big complaint really is, aside from the design, which I can't really fault it for because it's true to the original design, I wish the treads locked a little better. It seems like there's one locking connection point up front that is missing that I would have just liked for things to click in more solidly, so this forms a solid chunk. And then I would have liked, when this comes up, maybe an additional optional locking point up here to kind of get things solid so you don't have this piece kind of wiggling as you're rolling things back and forth. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty solid Galvatron, and as far as I know, it comes with all the accessories the original Kingdom Galvatron came with. It comes with two blasters, which are modeled off of his spaceship from the movie. That's kind of neat. And I know there's the other reformatted version that has a third one of these for being in scale with Unicron. It comes with his matrix, which you can put over the chain and pin down underneath the barrel. That's nice and green here. That's fine. And yeah, other than that, here is the base Galvatron again. And, you know, it's A-okay. I guess let me do a quick size comparison. Here we've got it next to a deluxe figure. So again, it feels a little on the small side for a Voyager, but in appearance, but in see, I even said Voyager subconsciously. For a leader, it feels just a little on the small side. But I think it makes up for that in its chunkitude. Oh, the last thing before I forget, so we've got our instructions, and the instructions do include stickering instructions, which I've got right here. I am not going to be using this sticker sheet. I have not been happy with Hasbro's stickers in the past. I don't know if I'm going to put any stickers on this Galvatron. I feel like the paint already makes it look really nice, and I don't think I would need stickers on them. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into our transformation. First thing we're going to do is come in, and on the back end, we're going to fold up this back piece. We're going to come in and fold down his feet, forming, you know, a solid chunk in the back. We can come up front, we can pull off this barrel, pull off this top section right here, and then I think I like to do the arms first. We'll flip up these two side pieces here. I don't know what they're called, but they turn into a skirt and they lock in his shoulders, which I do like the red shoulders on this figure. That lets us peel away. I guess that's another thing. I do kind of wish that this section connected a little more solidly, but it still feels pretty good. There's a connection right here and another one underneath that feels fine. So these can pull away, and that gives us the arms that we can transform. We are essentially pulling this piece back. It's got, this side's better, it's got an armature right here that we're pulling and putting in the back here, and then folding down his arm and out his hand. Same thing on this side, pull this back right here, going down and out there. Next we can come in and we can separate out the legs. I believe there is, yeah, this connection here between the two lets us separate them out and push them down. We can come in and turn the legs a little bit, and then come in on the back and flip this piece back, and there, this tab that secured the pieces together now comes in and kind of closes up this back area of his calves, like so. Then we can come in up top and do the chest, and we fold, let's get the arms out of the way, fold this piece out, which lets us pull this whole section up. There's a slot here and a tab right here. Rotate the whole thing back on this double joint, and that lets us click things into place. Get that click, there we go. And I believe I probably need to move my camera up. Much better. We can come in up top, and we're going to open up this back section here, which lets us flip out his chest and pull out his Galvatron head, which does look really nice on this version. We can close up the chest piece, close up the back, close in. There's a double joint on this back armature that we can fold down and lets us line this peg up with that hole right there. Folding that up, and that lets us bring up his arms, and they close together. There's a tab right in here that closes one, and then bring this down, that closes two. It is a fun and satisfying transformation. Lock in his shoulder pieces, bring back his skirts, and here we've got the basic robot mode. Last thing is taking his gun, fusion blaster, putting it on. And yeah, here is our solid looking Galvatron in the basic robot mode. And he does feel very solid. The joints have a good amount of stiffness to him. He looks and feels very solid. I like that head a lot. Let's get in close on that head sculpt. I think that is a really nice looking head sculpt. Captures his likeness very, very well. And yeah, like for my version where I'm like, okay, I want this to be Galvatron II from the comics, he definitely feels that way. I kind of wish that we had a bit more of a snarl on that face, because that's what I remember from Galvatron II, is just how like aggressive and manic he was. We can put his little fake spaceships together to form a double quadruple barreled gun that he can hold. Put that in his hand, and then put the Matrix up top here. And yeah, here is a very nice, solid feeling Galvatron. I do think there are some joints I can tighten up in the hips, but other than that, I don't really have any major complaints. And he does look really nice. I think if you're wanting a G1 Galvatron, the Kingdom version was the one to pick. I like the Titan's Return version, but it's not a version I would like recommend to people. And yeah, this Galvatron looks awesome. Now I do have Studio Series Scourge here, so you can see how they compare. Everyone's probably already seen this before. I do not have Studio Series Cyclonus, but that is because my Cyclonus is Mastermind Creations Cyclonus. So here is that version. And I actually do like the way they look together. I feel like Galvatron... is a nice balance. The anime style head on Scourge here goes pretty well with what Cyclonus is going, and Galvatron doesn't stand out from the two. So even if this isn't the same universe of all of them, I still like the way they look together. And yeah, the three heralds of Unicron, you know, together again, feels really nice. Now, of course, this is Galvatron II, so let's compare him to Titan's Return Galvatron 1. There's a couple versions, so we'll compare them. So here we are against as close to the base figure as I can provide. I've got the repro labels. I painted his head up, but other than that, you know, there they look again. And again, you can see how like he's about the same stature as a Voyager figure, but there's definitely more mass here. Although I think the Titan's Return Galvatron, like, I like the styling of his boots, these big stomping boots. I like his proportions and everything. I still have a lot of love for this figure. If we flip out, put his head back on, we can flip things out into his mask. That was the gimmick of Voyagers at the time. They all had a flip-out mask. There we can see how that looks. I actually don't use the mask. And if you're... Oh, I guess I forgot. I don't normally keep his gun in with this piece. I'll show you why it's not fitting in a second. That peg has gotten compressed a little bit. But there we can see the two of their guns next to each other. I actually have a little purple painted adapter piece that I use to move his gun off to the side so he can still bend his arm. And that goes in. And yeah, so there is with the actual gun attachment piece, which I do prefer. And then if we get rid of the mask here, holding this down, I have the an add-on helmet. This was a 3D printed helmet piece, which you can take, put around his head. It does also help make his head feel a little bigger. But there's the painted Titan Master head. And I did really like that this was essentially like a Titan Master Megatron that formed up into a giant Galvatron. But there is the head. And there they look together. So for my collection, here is Galvatron 1 and 2. And in terms of toy, this was a $25 figure. This is twice the price. I'll say for me, I like this design, but if I didn't own this and I was buying it on the second market and it's like $40 or whatever it costs now, I think I'd lean towards getting the Kingdom version of this mold over a used version of this guy. But I do like how they all look together. All right, Scourge decided to spin around. I think the last thing to do is to talk about articulation, and we've got a decently articulated head, although I will say I do wish the helmet was cut, this back piece here was cut a little more deeply so we could look a little more up, especially if he's like talking to Unicron at some point or something. We do have nicely articulated shoulders here, can go out that far, super far. We've got a nice swivel on the base, although we got to unpeg that peg to get the most out of it, but that swivel's just fine. And then you can peg the tread back in to get it back in place. double jointed on the elbow due to transformation. You know, extends out all the way. Wrist does pivot, even though it also transforms. I actually really like that. I want to highlight that we've got wrist twist in addition to transformation. I really appreciate that. We do have a waist joint. These skirts have no problem getting out of the way here. Absolutely. And can go 90-degree bend on the knee. And we've got a wrist tilt. So everything here looks pretty great. Just a really solid figure. A color scheme that I think we were all expecting. And I'm excited to have on my shelf. And yeah, just all around a solid Galvatron. Hopefully this means we don't need to get a new Galvatron for a while. And when they're done with the Studio Series 86 line, we'll get some new designs or something exciting, something that really excites me. But that's it for today's review. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya!